Pete Blackburn. Catch him on CBS. He covers hockey and the Bruins. We're just entering the third period here. Bruins and Rangers. Bruins up 2-1 and just finishing up the power play. You guys can join us. Fan line, upper right-hand corner of your screen. Hit that puppy and we'll watch on the smartphone. Or you can just join us in the comments down below. We'll answer that as we go forward as Pastrnak just got denied on his bid for a hat trick. Pete, what do you see so far tonight?
A little back and forth. They're mixing up lines. Interesting to see your Krug back. Your guy Krug getting a point immediately on the power play in his first game back.
Yeah, is he a plus or minus?
What'd you say?
Is he a plus or a minus tonight? I don't know. You tell me.
It was on the power play, so he doesn't get a plus for that. Exactly. I don't believe he's a minus, though. I don't think he was on the ice for the Zibanejad goal.
Anyway, to me, this feels a little bit like, we used to call it the Claude Julien wet fart night. It's just a little bit of one of those just sort of punch the clock nights for the Bruins especially.
Yeah, it's disappointing that they weren't able to build off that strong start. I really expected them to kind of come out and lay it to the Rangers. Not a very good team coming off a pretty demoralizing loss against the Lightning. You're at home. I wanted to see them build a little bit more off that early goal, but they haven't been able to do it.
Okay, so what do you think of Pastrnak with Krejci? Should that be the way it is in the playoffs?
I don't know. It depends if you can get something else to work on that second line. I know we've talked about it before that I like spreading out that offense and just giving yourself a little bit more depth. But if you can find something that works with Krejci on the second line, I'm not necessarily opposed to keeping Pastrnak on the top line just because of how dominant that line can be. It's the best line in the league, I think, in terms of end-to-end play when you have those three guys going. But again, I mean, you can stick a guy like Heinen or somebody else in that slot with Bergeron and Marchand, and they'll still be effective, still be an effective line. And Pastrnak and Krejci, when they're together and they're clicking, that's a pretty dominant line as well. So it depends on what you want.
I'd give him to Krejci. I think you have to spread out the scoring. The playoffs are so different, Pete, especially if you're playing Tampa and it's like, Strawman and McDonough, or they have such good D, they can match up on you. You got to have two lines. Got to have it.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that if you can get somebody else to work with Krejci, you're going to get that anyway. But
is that Johansson? I mean, who is that?
I don't know. Johansson's hasn't looked great. First game back tonight. He's been pretty quiet. He got bumped down to the third line, so we'll see. It's first game back. Got to give him a little bit of a leash, but he hasn't looked like the guy to make that sort of noise right now.
Oh, great plugging!
Wow,
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
So keep him there, man. I want that to be the line. I want to see DeBrusk with Pastrnak. I want to see Krejci with Pastrnak. Keep him there.
Man, that was great. Pastrnak, I gotta say, I'm not concerned at all. It's only been this is his fifth game back, but man, he's gotten better every single game, and it doesn't look like that hand is bothering him too much, which is a really, really great sign for this team going into the playoffs.
Okay, so Jeff just texted us before, said, it looks like he's back. Is he playing with the brace on his hand?
I'm not sure if he's playing with a brace on his hand. I did see that he was wearing a brace in the first couple of games that he was back, at least off the ice. I'm not sure if he's playing with it.
Okay,
but it doesn't look like he's too restricted. I did a rust at first, but he pretty much looks like himself at this point.
Jeff says Jeff Schiffman says give pasta to Krejci, but need balance on that first. So who do you put? I mean, Heinen seemed to work there with Mark and Bergeron.
Yeah, I think Heinen worked, and obviously it certainly helps that he's playing next to Bergeron and Marchand. Those guys seem to make it a lot of players better. So if Heinen's working, I definitely don't hate that. And then you can push Johansson down to the third line possibly, and you get a lot more depth that way. And you're going to need depth. You're going to need three really good lines to roll in the playoffs. So not necessarily the worst idea.
What a great shoulder fake right there by Pastrnak. He totally got Lundqvist to commit. Watch this short. Look, he looks like he's just about to shoot.
He goes down.
That's fucking tremendous.
He's unbelievable, man. He's I think top 15 in goals this year with missing 16 games.
Jesus.
So 22 years old. That's pretty easy to forget too, because it seems like he's been here for a while, but still 22 years old. Pretty crazy.
Again, we're seeing your texts or your comments there as they come in. Oh, another great pass. Now they're starting to toy with them.
Yeah, this is a good period. So,
seeing your comments as you go in. Bobby wants to give Krejci Johansson, give him a shot. He's got skill. How about Johansson on the first? Give Johansson to Bergeron and Marchand. That might work. He's played with great players before.
Yeah, no, it might. He's a good playmaker. So I just need to see more of what Johansson is and what he can be, because he's a guy who struggles with injuries, and if he's not 100%, he's not the same player. But he can be a really good playmaker when he's healthy. You just got to stay healthy, and we got to see it, and got to see who he works best with here. And I just feel like we haven't really gotten enough of a sample to decide who that is.
They're starting to toy with them right here. I do just what they're doing right now. Heinen with Bergeron and Pastrnak with Krejci. And that's what Cassidy wants. I mean, he said it as much. It feels like.
Yeah, Cassidy said, I think today, that he wanted to try Johansson with Coyle. And so it's not super surprising that he's sort of messing with the lines and seeing what works best. This is a pretty good team to do it against, because the Rangers aren't very good.
What were your thoughts on Bergeron there, taking exception? Was it Anderson at the end of the second period with that back check or whatever it was?
Yeah, it sort of surprised me that he got that angry at it. Oh man, we've seen Bergeron keep his cool for seemingly less than that or more than that. It just didn't seem that dirty to me. I don't know if he's sort of sensitive about being hit up high because of his concussion history, but it really wasn't that bad of a hit.
Just trying to see this goal. What the hell? The fuck did that go in?
Oh,
okay. All right, so here's one that, again, Pete covers the Bruins, so he's one of these elitist Bruins writers that just don't think the fans know anything, so this one's going to upset you. But Mike writes in and says, it just sucks. All these discussions are great, or they're moot points, because you probably can't count on Tuukka to make a deep run and steal game. About that comment.
I don't think that's true. We've gone over this before, but like Tuukka has his inconsistencies, and I think that you definitely want him to be more consistent than he was last year versus Toronto. He had definitely an up and down series, but I certainly wouldn't say that he's not a guy that you can count on, especially with how good he's been throughout most of this regular season. Like, he has been one of the better goalies in the league, wire to wire. I know he had a tough start, but it's a very, very strong year for Tuukka.
What do you think Cassidy feels?
In terms of Tuukka?
Do you think Cassidy is someone who has a lot of faith in Tuukka?
I think so. I mean, I don't understand why he wouldn't. I was surprised that after that.
Did you hear the comments after Tampa?
No, yeah, I was just going to say that. I was surprised what he said after Tampa. That seemed like a weird game. I know that there was blame to go around, and maybe Tuukka could have had a save that would have. He could have robbed somebody and made an unbelievable save. Maybe you get your $7 million save that a lot of people love to ask for. But none of those goals were, explicitly Tuukka's fault. You left Steven Stamkos alone twice. You had a perfect shot from Nikita Kucherov, and then you left the guys open in the slot. It's, so many of all of those goals were not Tuukka's fault. So that was just a weird game for him to sort of point the finger. I think his frustrations sort of led him to blame everybody.
Okay, well, see, folks out there, the hockey writers, the Bruins writers, they're just.
I'm not saying Tuukka's perfect.
Listen, let me talk. I just gave you 2 minutes. Now you talk, I talk. This is the way it goes. Okay. I didn't think that Rask was to blame for any of the goals either. I didn't even think of Rask after that game. Wasn't anywhere on my radar. But when Cassidy comes out and says we could have used a save there, that leads me to think how he thinks. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about the way he thinks. And Cassidy's done this many, many times in the past where he is. I think he's tough on Rask, and I think he's tough on Rask. He needs to be because they need more out of Tuukka. He just can't be good. For them to be Tampa, he's got to steal it, and I think Cassidy knows it. So it's just, I think Cassidy's going to have a shorter leash than you give him credit for. If Rask struggles against Tampa, or excuse me, Toronto, like he did last year, you heard it here first. Cassidy will make a move. If Rask struggles, if he doesn't, it's his job, obviously. But if he struggles, Cassidy's going to pull the plug.
Pull the plug in the sense of like pull him early in the game or give Halak a start.
Go to Halak. You bet. Give him a start. Well, I mean, yeah, see how it goes.
I'd be surprised.
If he pulls Halak in the game behind Halak, I think that Rask, this is the first year maybe in forever, I don't know, since Tim Thomas was here, that he has a chance to lose some playoff starts.
Interesting. I personally don't see that just because he's had a really good regular season, obviously. And once it seems like once you make those decisions in the playoffs, things have to go really, really south for you to change goalies. And I could see it. I could see an early pull for sure, just to sort of light a fire and make a statement to Rask. But it would be difficult for me to see.
It was also difficult for you Bruins writers to see that Peter Chiarelli was going to be fired or that Claude Julien could actually be improved upon. It was hard for you guys to see that Dougie Hamilton's not that good and Louis Eriksson's not that good. All you guys support the same group of people, and you're always surprised when it just turns out they weren't that good. And I think you're going to find the same thing on Rask coming up here at some point. Let's grab Robbie in Vermont. He joins us on the fan line. You can join us on your smartphone in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, as Robbie does from time to time. Robbie joins us next. As soon as he pops up, we'll talk to him. Hey Robbie, what's up, kid?
So, when Cassidy makes his lineup changes tonight in game, why would he ever put Backes up in the first pairing? It makes no sense. He can't keep up with them.
So, what do you mean Backes with the first pairing?
He's skating with Marchand and Bergeron.
So I'm sorry, I missed. I was.
That's Heinen.
No, I don't think
I didn't put Marchand Bergeron.
No, I think he did. He does it from time to time when guys are hurt. But wasn't Pastrnak up there with Marchand and Bergeron to start?
Moved him down to the second line on that on the Krejci goal.
Okay, he should. He should have Pastrnak with that. But it's Heinen. Heinen's been playing that.
Yeah, it was at one point Backes was up at that first line, and I was wondering why he would ever do it. It looks like it's changed. But I didn't catch
Backes with the first line, but it's Heinen now, so I don't know. Maybe he loves to give Backes a little bit of a kick in the ass and hopefully get him going, but I don't know if that's the move.
He doesn't need
so Backes did take shifts up there. I've been in and out a little bit, so I missed it. I know he's done it in the past, but look, I'm not putting Backes up there either. He can't keep up.
No,
right, Rob?
Definitely not. Backes is lucky to be in the lineup. He shouldn't be on the first line.
So, all right. Thanks for the time.
Okay, Robbie. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch the Backes taking shifts with the first line.
I mean, again, Backes, I don't like seeing Backes, I'm with you, in the lineup half the time.
I'm fine with Backes on the fourth line, and I know that Cassidy's experimented with that in the past few games. And I think that's something that could work. But yeah, you definitely don't want him in the top six. Third line's probably a stretch. He's a guy that's lucky to crack the lineup.
Okay. Let me ask you also while I have you again, you can jump on the fan line if you want since Robbie is off. What do you think of the Tampa game the other night?
I think they ran out of gas in the third period. Obviously they went back and forth in the first two, but ran out of gas, and it definitely doesn't help that you had to play with five defensemen, one of them being Connor Clifton. And I think when the Bruins are healthy, they can run with Tampa, and that's not to say that they're a better team, but I think that in stretches they can outplay Tampa, and I think that they can surprise them. That wasn't the game to showcase it. I think for 20 minutes at a time, they look like they could do it, but eventually they just run out of gas. And Tampa's a team that can sort of play cat and mouse with you, and then when they want to kill you, they'll just jump right all over you.
Yeah, see, this is Backes with a chart. This is where Backes should be on the third, fourth line. I mean, they got stupid. Brandon Carlo dangling in the low slot on a 4-on-2. Like, what are you doing? I mean, and then
and
McAvoy pinching a couple times. Yeah. I just think they got stupid. I was actually a little encouraged by how they played.
Yeah, I think they got too aggressive. They had the lead, and they were. I think the mentality was, let's put them away, let's step on their throat. When I don't know. I don't necessarily think that you should take your foot off the gas and play conservatively against Tampa, because they're such a good team and such an offensively dangerous team that they can make you pay for that. But you also want to toe that fine line between being too aggressive and getting caught. And they got caught too many times.
I just don't think Brandon Carlo should ever be beneath the opposing goal line. Ever.
I'm inclined to agree with
you. Ever.
I don't want to see that either.
Okay. So, but I thought, unlike last year when they played Tampa, it felt like a lot of the time they didn't belong on the ice with them. They belonged on the ice with them the other night.
Yeah, last year when they got shut down, it was when Braden Point just decided to completely shut down the Bergeron line. And, once that line's not effective for last year's team, it was all over. So feel a little bit better this year about what they're bringing in terms of depth, at least in the top six. And, Carlo being there and being effective in terms of being a shutdown guy. I like their chances much better this year than last year.
Okay. We're also whistling past the graveyard in the first round. Nick asked, what do you think of the Toronto's blue line compared to ours? And, what do you think of how Toronto's looked in the last couple of weeks?
Toronto in the past couple of weeks hasn't been very good. Yeah, for sure. And, they have their issues, and it seems like they're coming out pretty heavily at the wrong time. And obviously there's a little bit of time to go, and maybe they can correct it. I think that they won yesterday. But yeah, I'm not totally sold on Toronto. I think their blue line has its issues for sure.
Yeah, the same issues they had last year, goaltending and doing.
Jake Muzzin hasn't solved any of their issues. So still give the Bruins a really good shot against Toronto, especially if they're at home.
What happened with Bergeron over on the other side? Oh, that was off his face. That's what it was. Whoops. Off the dude's face.
This wasn't a goal for that guy.
Nick asks, is Rick Miller close to being cleared? Will he be back for the playoffs? And, what do you think his role is, Pete?
Who is that? Kevin Miller?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that the diagnosis that he's supposed to be back at some point before the playoffs. And, I think that if he's back and he's full strength, he's a guy that's important to that team. But usually in the playoffs, you usually see the top four guys get a large majority of the run. So it's not like he's going to be having a massive impact no matter what.
To me, the question is, maybe it was ruled out because John Moore is hurt now. But I like Grzelcyk more than John Moore. I'm talking about the sixth guy. But
yeah.
Can you be that small? Can you play Grzelcyk and Krug? Don't you want? To me, that's the decision. It's Grzelcyk or Moore if Moore is healthy.
Grzelcyk or Moore?
Yeah.
No, I think it's Grzelcyk. Grzelcyk has been really good, and Moore is super shaky and more of a liability out there. And I don't think that I necessarily consider size being as much of an issue. I'd rather have a guy that I can trust. Especially when you're going up against a team like Toronto in the first round, where Toronto's not going to kick your ass. Why are you scared of Toronto? Why are you worried about size?
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. That's a speed series. Gotten some comments on David Krejci and his year, and what do you think that means? Not just here, but in the future. I think some of his no movement protection comes off this offseason. His stock is high for the first time in a couple of years. He's the highest paid player on the team. Not worth it. What do you think his future? Is he more movable now, and is that something you think they would consider?
Well, if you're going to move him, who you're going to replace him with? That's the big question. And I think that David Krejci has proved this year that when he's at the top of his game, and he's been very, very good for long stretches, or the majority, I would say, this year, and he's been a huge difference maker. If you don't have David Krejci playing as well as he had been for a large portion of this year, this was a one-line team, and we saw that as being so frustrating. And that disappeared when David Krejci started playing to the top of his ability. So I don't know. I wouldn't consider moving him unless you have a backup plan.
Tommy and Braintree is up next on the fan line. Again, you can do that upper right-hand corner of your screen. And we can see your pretty face. Just turn your smartphone around and call us as if it were a talk show, but we get to see your face. Tommy and Braintree, how you doing, kid?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Curious on your thoughts on just the overall trend on the Bruins and around the league. Goal scoring is way up. I think it's above 3 per game. And, I mean, you see it. Bergeron and Marchand have always been good goal scorers. Krejci's always put up points. But they're all doing it at that point per game level that is pretty crazy. And it extends around. Thoughts on why?
It's a great question. Why, Pete?
Yeah, because I think we're seeing a more of an emphasis on pushing the puck towards the offensive zone. And I think a lot of that starts with the guys, the prototypical blue liners that are coming up. And a lot of these young guys, they're seeing, you're seeing guys like Erik Karlsson, who is sort of setting the example for future blue liners. They're very interested in joining the rush and getting on the board as well. It's a hat trick right there. I think that's a good place to start is the defenseman.
Tommy, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. This is stupid. I used to cover the team. I was on the beat for a couple of years, so I should know this, and I can't remember. And it's a stupid question, but I do wonder it. Do you get your hat back, Pete? They have a bin somewhere when you're walking out of the arena, you can get your hat back?
No. They I believe that they donate them. I think that they donate them.
I mean, it's a stupid question, but I don't know. It occurred to me.
No, somebody recently wrote an article about like what happens to the hats after they're thrown on the ice. I know you don't get them back. A lot of teams let the hat trick guy pick one hat out of the bunch, and then they donate the rest of them.
That's just a sieve. Got to have that save.
Yeah.
Well, if Pasternak's back like that, that is huge. And I give him to Krejci, man. Give him to Krejci. Pete, who else do you like in the East other than Tampa?
Other than Tampa, I'm not trying to overlook Toronto. I think that Toronto is a really good team. I'm not punching the Bruins ticket automatically past the first round. I think that they're a good team. But other than that, the only other team that I think has a great shot, or not a great shot, but a significant shot is Washington. Washington's still got a really good team, really good power play. If Braden Holtby gets hot, there's no reason to think that they can't do it again. Obviously going to have a tough road, but I'm not sold on anybody else. Like I know that Pittsburgh has come on strong lately, and it's hard to rule out Pittsburgh when they've got Crosby and Malkin and Letang. But man, that team has had some real holes on their blue line, and just does not seem like they're complete enough to make a strong run.
Miss Media Beth and Josh and Mark are chirping me for saying, Felger, do you think he still doesn't look like the same player since he came back? I said it on the radio the other day, I think before the Tampa game, that he doesn't feel like the same guy since he came back, which he wasn't. What, do you think he looked the same in those first couple of games back?
No, he was rusty for sure. But he did get on the board in his second game, and that was encouraging. But yeah, he wasn't 100% in the first couple of games back. But I feel like that's to be expected when you miss that much time and you're dealing with an injury. He looks fine now.
Oh, he looks fine, but I mean that's how he looked when he came. That's the first official of this edition of Third Period Live. To me, I mean, you can't beat Tampa without Pastrnak. And if he's not the same guy with that brace on his wrist, then you're fucked. So if he's the same guy, great. But if you thought he looked like that the first couple of games, I don't know what you were watching.
My question is it good enough to go that if teams target it in the playoffs and really go after that hand, does it become an issue pretty quickly?
Good one. It's another good one because teams are going to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you almost want him wearing some sort of brace. Eric, I just texted something that I wanted to hit on. How about that Chara contract, Pete? Is that not one of the best contracts for a team you've ever heard in your life?
Absolute steal.
Steal.
I honestly expected him to make about like 3.5, 4. So the fact that they were able to get him at what they were, and I think he said it was a conscious decision to give him the best chance to win. And veteran move, captain move.
I mean, rare, super rare. They all say we want to stay. We all say we want to win championships here. Do what it takes, and it comes to the contract, and they say, give me the money. But Chara knows that the future of the team is McAvoy and Carlo and guys like that. And so if the Bruins are going to be able to pay those guys, he's got to take less. And he does it. Like, who the fuck does that? I got so much respect for that.
Especially when you consider what he could have gotten. Like, he for sure could have cashed in on the open market. But
no question.
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy, especially when he's the captain here, especially when he's been here for so long. I think it's clear that he has his priorities in a different place rather than cashing in. But it's worth appreciating just knowing that some team would have significantly overpaid for a 42-year-old Zdeno Chara this summer.
Jeff asked a question of you, Pete. Are you in the locker room, Pete? Do you cover the team like down there? Are you there on a regular?
No, I'm not a beat guy. I'm rarely there. Just do it national.
Okay. Jeff asked anyway. I haven't done enough research here, but I bet Pete has. What's Pasternak's tattoo sleeve of? You follow
no idea.
Crap.
No idea.
Okay. That's a question for I don't know. It's a question for someone. I'm sure someone knows that.
That sounds like an off-season piece. Just examining the Bruins tattoos.
It's just the last thing I could give two crap.
I did tweet the other day that I'm often surprised when I rediscovered that Patrice Bergeron has a half sleeve. Just doesn't seem like the kind of guy you'd expect.
He does.
Yeah.
Wow. He does not strike me as a half sleeve kind of guy either.
I know. He seems like a very wholesome guy.
Half sleeve is meaning here to here or from here to here?
Here to like the elbow.
Jesus, Patrice.
Yeah.
What's up with that, dude?
I know. It's something that catches me off guard every time I see it. Like I know that he has it, and then I see a picture and I'm like, oh yeah. Just seems like a too wholesome of a guy. I'm a big tattoo fan, but there are just some people that you don't expect it from, and he's one of them. Okay,
what else do we got here, Pete? What else are you looking for with the Bruins? To me, at some point they got to go into the sort of just, play out the string. Tonight felt a little bit like it, in fact. But you know what? What I'm looking for down the stretch is them dicking around with their lines. More of this. Find out if Pastrnak, but if Heinen is really a fit up there, or maybe you try Johansson up there. So experiment with some stuff, so you're not just relying on that one line in the postseason.
Yeah, no, I think as soon as you lock up that 2 seed, then that's where you're getting into territory where you want to rest guys and you want to see who works with who and get those rotations in order. And find out who has chemistry and use that for the postseason. Once you lock down the 2, you got nothing to play for.
No question. It's pretty close to it. Close to it. Yeah. So I just see this chirping here. That's another thing I meant to mention earlier. After that, I don't know if you saw the NBC coverage going into the period break after Bergeron took exception and got in that little scuffle. You see Chara chirping with the bench, with the Rangers bench and challenging. I'm not sure who that was, but did you see that?
Yeah, I saw, and I believe that a hot mic picked it up. Somebody sounded like they challenged Chara, which
stupid.
All right, go for it. It's your funeral. I heard that. I saw that. A lot of talking. It seems like the Rangers always do a lot of talking. Even the last time that they played them, where they lost in a shootout, and whatever his name is, D'Angelo. Was talking shit as he skated by the Bruins bench.
I can't remember, but this is getting a little chippy. I'd keep Pastrnak off the ice after that shift. He just got run along the boards. I'd sort of stop with that. But what I love, Pete, is just Chara's role. Chara's just 42-year-old guy, and the way he defends his teammates, and he doesn't fight often because no one wants to take him on. But when the time's right, he does it. And I just think he's a badass. I sort of like him more by the day.
Yeah, for sure. He's a freak. He's a physical freak. He's a specimen. He's a guy who does pretty much everything that you want from your captain and from a guy in his position. Not necessarily the dominant player that he once was, but he's a fit for this team, and I really like what I've seen from him in the second half, and especially over the past month or so. You mentioned that he doesn't fight very often, but the past month, he's been chippy. He's let guys get under his skin, and he kicked Evander Kane's ass, and then Matt Martin looked like an absolute fool trying to fight Zdeno Chara.
What was I just going to ask you? I can't remember what I was going to say. Maybe it was one of these. Anyway. Christian asked, Pasternak or Sagan?
Pasternak or Sagan?
Yep.
At this point, I'll say Pasternak because he's younger and he's a guy who clearly fits the system and is a very strong two-way player. Tyler Sagan's a great player too, but Pasternak right now I think has pretty limitless potential.
I think I might give Pasternak a nod in the makeup department. I think he's a little more competitive, or I'm sort of down on Sagan as a pro, as a dude. I don't know, as a guy, as a winner, like that thing. I don't know about Sagan there. And I don't know about Pasternak either, but I really don't know about Sagan. That's what I hated about the Pasternak injury. Like, if I want a high-priced winger stumbling around drunk, breaking his hand, I bring Sagan back. I feel like that's why I hated that injury from Pasternak. He better come back.
Do you know that he was drunk?
I'm going to forget that injury.
Do we know that he was stumbling around drunk?
Nope. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't want to accuse him of that. I feel like he's been here for a while and he hasn't screwed up.
The team left us to wonder that?
Huh?
Do you think the team set us up to believe that?
They didn't really do much to quiet it.
They let us there.
Fair enough.
I mean, they're the ones that put the idea in our head. They didn't have to give so many details. They could just say on an off-field incident, off-ice incident, or they could even say it happened at practice. They could make up anything. Instead, they said it was at night after a client dinner, going to his transportation. Come on, they wanted us to believe that.
Yeah, it certainly could be, but hopefully that scare was enough to teach him a lesson, I guess.
There we go. I just looked down and they scored again. Who was that? Don't tell me that was Pasternak again.
I believe it was.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, it might have been Bergeron.
Okay, there you go. I just looked down for 1 second and the puck's in the fucking net.
You tip it?
That's just so pretty. That's just so lovely. All right, that's 5-2. That's going to pretty much put a wrapper on it. Pete, right now, Bruins, Leafs. Who do you got?
I'm going to take the Bruins. I just have too many concerns with the Leafs and their blue line, and it's a team that has shown in the past their makeup. You can rattle them, and they can fold in the playoffs. And there's not a lot that's changed in my mind from last year to this year. I think the Bruins are only stronger this year.
Okay. If it goes 7 this year and they need some sort of miracle finish, they will have underachieved. The last 2 times, certainly last year, I thought they should have dispatched that up 3-1, home for game 5, like to be, needing a third period comeback to win that series. That better not be the case this year. They should take care of business.
I don't necessarily agree with that because the Leafs, I don't want to overlook them. They're like a top 5 team in the league. They're stacked. They have their issues, but they are stacked offensively. And you look at what they were able to do last year, and then oh my God, this is just a bloodbath now.
All right, Mako, chubby for Charlie. All right, that will put a wrapper on it. Pete, we'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Take care. Bye.